Okay, we are back with the good chairman, Trey Lamar, Mississippi House of Representatives District 8. And we were talking about the lawsuit and other things here, but you said DMR would probably be one of the other things. Let's talk about this, because there are some reports that there are some several other members of the House and or Senate. I don't think it's specified which one. Some additional people who've come down with COVID. Are you familiar with that, and how many are we talking about?
Paul, yeah, I was made aware, and I'm not at liberty to disclose their names, but of one legislator who was recently diagnosed, is a senator.
House or Senate? Senate.
Senate, on the Senate side, yeah. And so that's the only one that I'm aware of. But, there were several of us. There was almost somewhere between 40 and 50 of us that were diagnosed back, last time. So we certainly don't want to go down that road again.
I know. So what are the precautions? I mean, because the families, not only you, but your family, your wife and the kids are worried about this. Your parents and everybody else are worried about this as you come down to Jackson. But are there anything, new rules or regulations or guidelines that are going to be followed, or basically the same as before?
Well, no, I don't think it'll be the same as before. I think you're going to see much more diligent effort for everyone to wear a mask. I also think we're going to, in my talks with the speaker, we're going to implement the protocol that we did used at times back in May. I wish we probably should have used it throughout June as well, but everyone will report to their corner. They'll have an assigned space, whether it be their office or a conference room with a small handful of people, and they'll be able to pipe in the debate on the House floor and also on the Senate floor, as I understand it. And then they will have a time to either call in or show up and say how they want to vote, if they want to vote against a measure or not. So that way everybody kind of is isolated to themselves, or just around a couple people, as opposed to having 150 to 200 people in a room.
Have you seen or heard how long this is going to take? You think you'll be in and out today, or is it going to take a couple of days?
Well, I've got court tomorrow and Thursday, so I've got some clients that are hoping that I'm in and out today, and certainly I think the taxpayers would appreciate that as well. So it's certainly my hope that we can get in and out today, and I know the speaker feels the same way.
So that's the goal, to get in and out today.
It is. Obviously, the main goal is to accomplish, what we can and tackle this education budget and get that behind us, so the school districts can have some stability and know where they stand going forward. But hopefully that can be done in a day.
Anything out of your department that you want to handle when you go in today, or needs to be handled as far as the Ways and Means Committee?
Well, the first thing we'll have to do, the two bills that we discussed earlier, and there were some others, but the two, the healthcare bill and the education bill that are most prominent, I believe those bills come out of the appropriations side. So what you'll see is when we go back in, the clerk will read the veto report from the governor, and then that at that point in time, it could be assigned to that committee from which it came, which would be the appropriations, or we could go into a situation where we call the committee of the whole and just deal with it all on the House floor. But those measures will have to originate in the House because they were House bills, so that's where they come back to first. So you'll see the House up first out of the gate at 1 o'clock.
I don't know what the feedback has been in your district as far as up in District 8, but the feedback that we get as far as social media is concerned, that a lot of people are not happy with this, the disagreement between and the relationship between the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, and they constantly hope that things could be worked out in the future.
That you can throw me in that camp as well. I had zero interest in getting into a public squabble, with our governor. I want to work with our governor. I've told him that through his chief of staff and other staff members. I don't get to talk to him often, but made that well known. And I'm sitting here on your radio show again saying it today. And I know Speaker Gunn, Pro Tem, they would love to work, with the governor, other House leadership as well. We did not veto these bills. We didn't put us in this situation. And certainly here in my district, we had $2 million that were set to be set up to go toward our local Tate County Hospital this fall when it reopens. And that's CARES Act funds. That was $2 million. And Paul, I dare venture to ask you if you know how much CARES Act funds have been distributed to Mississippi hospitals from the CARES Act. Do you know how much that is?
I think it's close to zero.
Over the last few months?
I think it's close to zero.
No, try close to $700 million between both the $700 million is $690-something million between direct CARES Act appropriations to our Mississippi hospitals and the $80 million that were in 1782 that were going to hospitals as well. And so, in the grand scheme of CARES Act funds, this $2 million that was set aside for the Tate County Hospital is very minuscule when you consider what other hospitals have gotten.
I was talking about the other CARES Act, not to the hospitals. But let me ask you this, because what the governor said was that this was inappropriate as far as inappropriation, as far as inappropriate dollars to be funding this hospital when the hospital was shuttered down. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very very simple. We did the bill safeguarded the funds. If that hospital, the Tate County Hospital, is not open and seeing and treating patients this year in 2020, it never receives the funds. So, like I said, I want to work with the governor. I don't know that he maybe got some bad advice from somebody on this deal, but the funds were safeguarded. If the hospital never reopens, then those funds are diverted to other hospitals throughout the state for their use. So the funds were never going to a closed facility. If that hospital is not open and treating patients, it never receives the funds. At that point in time, it's exactly like every other hospital in the state.
Final thoughts or anything else you want to mention while you have the vast audience here?
Well, just say I repeat what I said a minute ago. The House membership in the future going forward wants to work with our governor and our executive branch. I believe the people of Mississippi want that, and I believe they deserve that. And so I'm not going to sit here and say anything ill about our governor. We have a disagreement, and we're going to deal with these disagreements the way the Constitution sets up the legislative prerogative to do so over the next few days. And there will be other issues coming down the pipe, soon. And so I look forward to working with the governor at that time. I hate we have a disagreement on this issue, but I stand ready to work with him.
Mr. Chairman, there are some good points that are going on out there. Number one, when we start talking about the budget and the income from last month, July, August seems to be kicking on pretty good. It could be a hell of a lot worse. It is a lot worse in places like New York and Chicago and other places. But our cities are doing halfway decent. Our state is doing pretty good as far as the revenue is concerned. As I mentioned before, the hole could have been a lot deeper. We're standing pretty good fiscally with the rainy day fund. So there's some good things. When you start looking up in your neck of the woods, what's going on with Amazon and now Google, it's very impressive. And by the way, on good news, we've had some expansions. Last week before last mention, there was, and it didn't get a lot of publicity, there was a mega site that was purchased by Amazon in Madison County. I think it's like 70 acres, and they didn't buy it to just leave it there. So there's some good news going on as far as the state's concerned.
That's very good news, and we've been very fortunate as a state. There were predictions back in the spring when this thing first hit of just dire predictions where 700, 800, 900 up to $1 billion down in revenue. That has not proven the case. We were relatively flat on the year, which is a huge win considering what we've gone through. And I can just speak for my hometown, Senatobia. It's had it's some of its most recent months are up big over 2019. So, people are still shopping. They still got money in their pockets. They still want to buy things and spend and participate in economic activity, and that's a good thing. And so we just got to be smart about this pandemic and go forward.
Trey, thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much, and look forward to talking to you in the studio as soon as we can.
Yeah, Paul, y'all do a remote. I don't think y'all have ever done a remote in Tate County. So here's my official invitation to come see the good things we got going on in Tate County.
Can you see this on the air? Can you see this?
I see it. I do it. Okay. We're going to work on that.
Yeah, Chamber of Commerce. Come on, you're loaded with dollars.
We're going to work on that. We are going to work on that. Consider it a mission of mine. We're going to work on that.
We're kind of like Paladin, man. Have money, we'll travel. So.
I'd love for y'all to come see the good things we got going on.
You make it happen. We'll be there, partner. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Safe travel.